Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. First of all, I need to thank each and every one of you who contributed to helping me replace my camera and lenses that were stolen out of my car. God, that was seriously about to be a nightmare scenario for me. But you all helped me so much to get back up and running. Thank you. And everybody who contributed, just it means the world to me. Thank you. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I hope that I can return the favor someday. Which means I better start serving up some content, hot and fresh and snarky, because on this channel, we get saucy. I wanted to get this out earlier, but work has been like a little bit crazy.
Give 'em the old razzle-dazzle, razzle-dazzle 'em. Give 'em an act with lots of flash in it, and the reaction will be passionate. Give 'em the old hocus pocus, beat and feather 'em. How can they see with sequins in their eyes? What if your hinges all are rusting? What if, in fact, you're just disgusting? Razzle-dazzle 'em, and they'll never catch wise.
I'm such a good manager, you guys. Now, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Today I'd like to tell you all about Isagenix, an Arizona-based company founded by husband and wife Jim and Kathy Coover, as well as John Anderson in 2002. But before I say anything else, I think I'm going to go ahead and let the Coovers tell you their story about how they came to lovingly craft their gift to the world of a company so righteous and morally pure that Jesus asks them to take the wheel, and which is certainly not a pyramid scheme, because just like every other business that is not a pyramid scheme, they have to constantly deny that it's a pyramid scheme. So, Isagenix actually doesn't have a company story on their website telling their bullshit delusional narrative. They only have two individual stories for the husband and wife pair of founders, Jim and Kathy Coover, which honestly is basically what the story of other MLMs ends up being centered around anyway. So at least Isagenix is honest about it being about the founder's personal ego. But luckily for you, I'm about to read their stories to you. So when I'm reading something, I'm gonna try to attempt to just, like tap in and tap out when I'm making a comment versus when I'm actually still like going through a quote. I don't know if that'll be a little bit clearer, but I just don't want the Coovers to get credit for my amazing comments, okay? That's right. So here we go. Here is Jim's story. Jim Coover, direct selling pioneer. Widely considered a pioneer in the health and wellness industry, Jim has set the standard for direct selling. Over his 30-year career, he has been responsible for leading companies to $1 billion in sales, including Isagenix. I love how they don't say which companies. It's always such a good sign, and in no way a red flag whatsoever when someone is this vague about their work history. 30 years, okay, and 19 of them could have been doing Isagenix. So where's the rest? But whatever, Jim's vast knowledge and invaluable experience has helped to guide and manage the incredible growth and success of Isagenix. Jim is the architect of the Isagenix Team Compensation Plan, which has proven itself to be one of the most generous, simple, and effective compensation plans in direct sales history. As the chairman, Jim is responsible for overseeing the strategic growth of the company. His visionary leadership continues to be the driving force behind major company initiatives, including international expansion, innovative product development, and preserving the special culture of Isagenix. Passionate about giving back. Jim is also an active member of the community and passionate about giving back. Professionally, he, along with the company's employees and vast network of independent distributors, have raised more than $10 million for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Personally, he and Kathy help rebuild schools in South Africa. That seems like a very strange cause. And support children's causes, which is a little vague. Years from now, when others look back on Jim's legacy, he hopes he's seen as being instrumental in helping to improve the quality of people's lives around the world. We'll see about that last one, but at the moment, it's not seeming bloody likely, Jimmy boy. Let's take a short moment to appreciate how little that actually said despite containing so many words. Maybe his wife's backstory is a little bit more insightful and informative, is what I would say if I were high on glue right now, but let's take a look anyway. Kathy Coover, direct selling's most influential woman. Kathy Coover is known in the industry as one of the most influential women in direct selling, just like the headline. Her career spans more than 28 years and includes achieving her goal of becoming the top income earner at 3 separate network marketing companies. Holy shit. In 2002, Kathy decided to join forces with her husband Jim to form Isagenix and has spent the last 2 decades helping countless families reshape their financial future and regain a healthier outlook on life. In 2015, the American Business Awards honored Kathy with its prestigious Woman of the Year award because of her unwavering commitment to always help others. What the fuck does that mean? Anyway, the American Business Awards also go by the name the Stevie Awards, and you get them by paying for them. The Woman of the Year award costs $265. That's literally all it is. It's utterly meaningless and everybody wins. There are hundreds of categories. Having started her professional career as a dental hygienist, Kathy understands firsthand what it's like to work 40 plus hours a week. I'm so confused about her work history. So was it 28 years of just MLM, including the 2 decades of Isagenix, and before that she was a dental hygienist? This timeline makes no sense. Whatever. As long as she doesn't start saying that she's a legal professional and a busker and an actress and a pop socket queen, I'm all good. It wasn't until Jim suggested she try network marketing. It's good that he's there to tell her what to do. Otherwise, her woman brain would never know what's good for her, would it? That she realized she could still financially contribute to the family household while also staying home with their son, Eric, who was a toddler at the time. Why didn't Jim stay home? Oh, that's right. Fathers are parents, not parents, I guess. It was then that she became passionate about sharing direct selling's flexible work-life model with other women and families. Kathy's personal mission is to be an advocate for women. Okay, sure, Kathy. And empower all families to live their best lives. Jesus. Creating a lasting legacy for future generations, including her own grandchildren. Kathy wants to ensure the legacy she and Jim have created at Isagenix is around forever. Kathy, an MLM is the last thing that is going to last. Every MLM company will collapse because the business model is not sustainable. You'll probably outlive Isagenix, Kathy. Her hope is that Isagenix will always be looked up to for its commitment to doing the right thing and making a difference in communities around the world. That implies that it's looked up to now, but okay. Yikes. If there's one thing I learned in our last Snark Dive, where we covered the phenomenal business model and unblemished history of It Works and its virtuous founders, it's that when people are extremely vague about their work history and not telling you which companies they were previously associated with, it is time to start digging, because that's suspicious. That's weird. Well, your boy, once again, has got the piping hot tea for you, because I found a 2005 interview with Kathy Coover for the website thenetworkmarketingmagazine.com, where she maybe shared a little bit too much about her and her husband's totally illustrious history. When Kathy is asked about her husband's background, she says that he was one of the co-founders of the Cambridge Diet. So I proceed to Google that company, and oh my god, she probably should have not said anything or pretended to not understand the question, or, you know, like dove into a dense underbrush-laden forest or into a wooded thicket or something instead of answering that question. Because the Cambridge Diet was founded in 1980 by Alan Howard, and presumably Jim Coover was involved at some level, if Kathy Coover is being truthful about that. I've seen a couple sources saying that Coover was the CFO of the Cambridge Diet, but neither of those were super reputable, but I don't see why you would lie about being associated with the Cambridge Diet. The company operated as a mail order company at first, but in 1981, it switched to a multi-level marketing model, just like any company with a extremely good, highly valuable, well-supported product would. Now, the product that the Cambridge Diet offered had a lot of unreasonable and totally biased haters in the medical professional community, including doctors, dietitians, and clinical researchers who felt that their advertising, claiming that the diet only burned fat and did not burn protein, and who felt that 330 calories a day was like too low and could lead to dangerous loss of lean body tissue. Yeah, 330 calories a day. On the Cambridge Diet, you were to have just 3 liquid meals a day, adding up to 330 calories for the entire day. By the end of 1982, that's about 1 year after beginning their MLM operation, the FDA had received 138 complaints of serious illness and 6 deaths reported to the Cambridge Diet. Following this, the company took swift action to protect its bottom line by filing for bankruptcy and continuing to sell its not usually deadly product through its independent consultants, but sales obviously took a massive hit due to the negative publicity from the trolls and lawsuits and the haters, which totally every company has, you guys. However, that was sadly not the end of the deaths related to the Cambridge Diet. And after several heart attacks were reported relating to the use of the Cambridge Diet and similar product lines, the noted hate group of people who obviously just failed at network marketing, known as the FDA or Federal Douchebag Administration, banned the products from being marketed and sold in the United States. So just keep in mind that Isagenix was co-founded by a man who thought that 330 calories a day was a good idea and that it would be fine, you know, because he thought that it was possible for a product to lead exclusively to fat loss with no loss of lean muscle mass or protein deficit, or he actually didn't believe that, but didn't care because using those marketing claims was just too gosh darn profitable for him. It's one or the other, and I'm not sure that it matters which of those two scenarios is true. But Kathy is not quite done ensuring that you have the lowest possible opinion of her and her husband, okay? After seeing her husband's incredible 1980s journey of being truly of service to people by somehow convincing them to use the Cambridge diet to lose weight, when I'm pretty sure that cocaine existed in the 1980s and was probably safer, although honestly it sounds like a toss-up. Kathy was like, I need to be a part of this. That looks awesome. Sign me the fuck up. So, in 1992, she joined this nutritional company dumpster fire called PrimeQuest Nutrition, a niche that makes total sense given that she has such a great resource on the topic at home in the form of her husband. What can I say? The results really speak for themselves. Kathy gushes, I become, sick in brackets, the top income earner in that company with 90% of their volume underneath me, and I built 10 separate diamond legs even though it had a very difficult compensation plan. Sorry, she just kind of has a way with words. There are so many comma splices in this interview, and every single one hurts me, by the way. That's probably the writer and editor's fault, though, not hers. The words are her fault, though. The writer then asks her about the challenges she faced at PrimeQuest, and she says, quote, in the beginning, I couldn't figure out how to get my group to duplicate what I was doing. I went out and signed up 125 people, and it was no problem for me, but nobody else could do it. Once I figured out that I was not duplicatable, I started creating tools for my team, such as audio cassette tapes, voicemail recordings, training manuals, and I started doing conference calls, and then my group absolutely exploded. The duplication started. So basically the Amway model, where you create a bunch of useless culty crap under the guise of being training materials and then charge your downline for them. I mean, they're totally optional. You have the option of purchasing the training materials from her, or basically being frozen out and ostracized from the group and given the silent treatment, but it's your choice. As much as I'd like to reassure you that none of these aforementioned training materials were included with this article, that would be a lie. And as much as I'd like to tell you that I am not about to read you a short passage from one very interesting section of them, that too would be a lie. Are you ready? You know I can't hear you, right? This isn't Dora the Explorer. Quote, talking to people and bringing people into the business is the life's blood, which is probably similar to lifeblood, of network marketing. 70 to 80% of your and your team's time needs to be spent talking to new people. Imagine working in a store and spending 70 to 80% of your time looking for more people to work at the store, and then apparently leaving just 20 to 30% for those less important tasks like selling products or whatever. No, it's not a pyramid scheme. This is a totally normal allocation of time. You just don't understand business, okay? Later, the writer asks how long she stayed with PrimeQuest, and she answers, actually, I stayed with that company to the very end. That company was sold, and I went with the new company, but I had an integrity issue with the owners because they took my 10 diamond legs and chopped them up. I think that is such a delightful sentence. They took my 10 diamond legs and chopped them up. I love it. See, this is one of the problems with multi-level marketing that is less frequently discussed. Even if you are near the top of the pyramid, it can all change instantly and you will have no control over it. The company could shut down, the company could alter your agreement, they could make you ineligible, they could kick you out, they could chop off all 10 of your diamond legs, and you will have no recourse whatsoever because they can basically do whatever they want. She's still not done, though. She is ready to put her entire foot in her mouth because she can, okay? And she'll be damned if you're not going to see her do it. She explains her next totally legitimate and completely unshady experience. I joined a company called the Tax People. Because it was just being introduced in the Midwest, I grew fast. That's funny. I thought getting in early didn't matter, Kathy. And became the first female diamond in the company. Again, my income just exploded. Everything explodes with this lady. After that first 6 months, we went into momentum. You went into momentum? Okay, learn how to talk. And I was earning a 7-figure income, and I would have stayed with that company if it hadn't been shut down by the government. Oh my God, you guys. I hate when my thoroughly faultless, 100% legal, morally upstanding business gets shut down by the government. Ugh, that is the worst. She explains. I truly believe the reason they got shut down was because the government did not like us informing other people of all the tax deductions you're entitled to when you have a home-based business. It was all legal tax deductions, and we were giving IRS tax code. We had 2,000 tax offices all over the United States, but they didn't like it, so they came in and shut the company down.
Well, man from health department say he find rat pellet in our pastry, but I say no. Is big chocolate sprinkle, but he shut store down. So we clean up, make big cookie for to bring customers back.
Honestly, that sounds like it's probably true. I mean, what sounds more likely to you? That they were filing fraudulent returns and claiming home-based businesses that either didn't exist or weren't eligible for the amounts claimed and the government shut them down for breaking tax law? Or that the government was like, hey, stop giving people tax breaks that are completely legal. Because they're obviously just, total haters who failed at network marketing and then just extrajudicially shut down a 100% legitimate company. I think that second one there sounds hella credible. I don't know about you. So after hearing all of that information about the founders of Isagenix, you're probably thinking, how the hell do I get signed up? That sounds like a company I definitely want a meal plan from. I cannot think of anyone more qualified than Jim Coover, whose mostly non-deadly diet in the 1980s was banned by the FDA. And I agree with you 100%. So let's find out what revolutionary, science-based, utterly miraculous products Isagenix has on tap to bless our undeserving, wretched hearts with. Much like what we did with It Works, we're going to go through the products that Isagenix says are its most popular offerings. And Isagenix says that would be their Everyday Health Pack, which is a bundle of 3 products, the first of which is the Isoline Shake. Isagenix states that the Isoline Shake, quote, provides complete nutrition to help you maintain your shape, lose weight, and most importantly, feel your best. By replacing 1 meal a day with an Isoline Shake, you'll start feeling the difference quality nutrition can make. Maximum nutrition with minimum calories. Yeah, you might want to reconsider the wording on that minimum calories thing, given your history with that aspect of dieting, but whatever. So once again, we're really relying on uncritically accepting drinking these synthetic powder shakes as being the healthy option as opposed to eating actual food. And it drives me absolutely nuts that this is a thing. It doesn't really explain why this is superior. It does contain a lot of vitamins and minerals, but so does a lot of actual food that is healthy, like fruits and vegetables or lean meats like chicken or tuna. Okay? Supplementation should always be looked at as a last resort. The go-to solution if you're not getting enough of something should be to choose foods that contain more of that thing naturally, because that's always going to be a better way of doing it. I'm going to put the nutrition facts on screen because I don't want to read out the entire list of vitamins and minerals, but in summary, for those of you that are just listening, it's 240 calories, 6 grams of total fat, 24 grams of carbohydrate, 10 grams of which is sugar, 24 grams of protein. Maybe they claim that it's better because it is low in calories at 240 calories, but this shake is simply not going to be satiating, and you will probably end up snacking and grazing more than if you had actual, solid food, especially since a lot of those calories are from the 10 grams of sugar that it contains. Sugar does little to nothing to trigger satiety signals, so you'll either still feel hungry after eating something that is mostly sugar, or you will feel hungry again very soon. On top of that, the body processes liquids much more quickly than solid food, which is going to make you feel hungry again even faster. And at an eye-watering $44 for a 14-serving jar, or $3.14 per shake, I think your money just might be better spent on healthy whole fruits and vegetables, which you could buy a whole lot of for that price. Okay, 240 calories sounds great on paper, but if it were as simple as eating fewer calories, you could just cut back your portions or stop having whatever your vice food is. The problem is not that low-calorie foods don't exist or something. The problem is habits and psychology and other factors. This is not addressing that. The next product in this miracle bundle is the Ionix Supreme, which, despite sounding like some kind of microwave frozen pizza from the 80s, is actually a flavoring you add to water with a bunch of other supplements and herbals in it. Isagenix claims that, quote, "Your body and mind crave balance, but finding it isn't always easy, especially in an increasingly noisy world. Turn down the volume on the world with this nutrient-rich adaptogenic tonic." Because when you can't find your balance, you can always make it with Ionix Supreme. So basically, they're claiming that because this product contains adaptogens, it will help you relieve stress. This would be a great time to once again point out that adaptogens are a load of bullshit. They're such a load of bullshit that is a prohibited claim in the European Union. Adaptogen proponents claim that they are compounds that improve the body's ability to adapt, which is a concept that is essentially meaningless because it is so vague. What kind of adaptation? What does that mean? That could mean just about anything. So we better look into what the actual ingredients are if we're going to evaluate this claim. So, first ingredient is ashwagandha. There is some evidence that it may have an effect on moderating cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone associated with inflammation. It should definitely not be used without consulting a healthcare provider if you have a thyroid condition, because it can augment the conversion of T4, which is the less potent thyroid hormone, into T3, which is more potent, meaning that if you have a hypothyroid condition, your Synthroid dose would need to be adjusted. In addition to the problem that these herbal supplements are usually not consistent in the levels of the active ingredient from one batch to the next, especially across different brands. If you have elevated thyroid function like me, that would be a reason to avoid this altogether. Isagenix makes no mention of this when they are trying to sell you this product. This is actually a big problem with the dietary supplement industry. They will often say that their products have no drug interactions and no side effects. This is utter horseshit. Any product that is having any effect whatsoever will have some drug interactions and side effects for some people. If they're saying that it has absolutely none for anybody, either it doesn't do anything at all, or they're misinformed, or they're straight up lying to you. Next up, we got goji berry extract. These berries have been, since the early 2000s, claimed to be a superfruit, which should always be a red flag. If it's claiming to be a superfruit or superfood, it's bullshit. Those do not exist. Fruits and foods exist. Okay, super fruits and foods do not. The current craze over goji berries in the US and other English-speaking countries is believed to have originated from Earl Mendel's publications and marketing materials that he created while he was acting as a spokesperson for a different MLM, Free Life International, including a booklet he published in 2003, which related the story of a Chinese man by the name of Li Tingwen, who ate goji berries daily and lived from 1677 until he died in 1933. That's right. He was 99 when on the other side of the world, the American Revolution was happening, and he was 165 when the First Opium War with Britain ended, and 183 when the Second Opium War ended with the handover of Hong Kong. He was 241 when World War I ended, and when he died, he was 256 years old, and according to Monet, his scalp was 3,072 years old. I feel like this goes without saying at this point, but none of the claims made about goji berries have any evidence behind them, despite being quite extensively studied in vivo and in vitro. Next up, we got Schisandra, which is claimed by Isagenix to be an adaptogen, which is bullshit because that is too vague a claim to be scientifically studied. So there's no evidence for that, and there's also no evidence for any of its other purported health benefits. It is supposed to be quite flavorful as a tear cordial, though, so there's that. Eleuthero is the next ingredient. Isagenix claims that it promotes improved focus and cognitive function. There's no evidence for that, although there is evidence that it has interactions with some heart medications and can cause adverse reactions in those with sleep apnea, high blood pressure, heart disease, anxiety, or compromised immune function. None of those cautions are mentioned by Isagenix, though. The next ingredient in here that we got is rhodiola. It's claimed to manage burnout and fatigue by Isagenix. No evidence for that benefit or any benefit. The next one is pretty weird. It's Shilajit, I think is how you say it. This one's a bit strange. It says that it is a blackish brown powder or exudate from high mountain rocks, especially in the Himalayas between India and Nepal. It seems to originate from fungal decomposition of plant material, but it's kind of unclear where it comes from, which is bizarre. There's some extremely shaky evidence that some forms of the stuff could have benefits to cognitive function or preventing Alzheimer's, but this is extremely preliminary and based on cells in petri dishes, which is extremely different from actually being used in the human body. A lot of things appear to help against Alzheimer's in petri dishes, but unfortunately, that only translates to actual effectiveness in the body once in a while. The other issue is that given the origin of this substance, it varies in composition, and there's a huge problem with heavy metal contamination appearing in many preparations that are being sold, particularly lead, and lead poisoning cases have resulted from supplements containing it. But those are the ingredients in the Ionix Supreme, which at $1.06 per serving will definitely impart a natural fruit flavor to your water and then probably do basically fuck all else. But the final product in this amazing, super scientific bundle of awesome is the Cleanse for Life. Isagenix says, quote, own fast days or any day with a detox drink full of superfood nutrients. Think intermittent fasting isn't your thing? Think again. You just haven't tried the Isagenix method of intermittent fasting that we call cleanse days. Your squad just showed up for cleanse days, coming together to help you fast, detox, and burn some stubborn fat. Just trying to get through a fast day? Nah, you're about to make fast day the best day. You know, I'm so glad to hear Isagenix encouraging fasting. How responsible. You know, I was worried that Jim Coover's history with the Cambridge diet was shady, but it seems like he's really learned since then. It turns out that this nonsense actually just contains the same crap that was in the Ionic Supreme, plus peppermint, aloe vera, turmeric, licorice root, bilberry, and 4 fucking grams of added sugar. None of those things are going to do anything to help you cleanse because there is no such thing as cleansing or detoxing in this context. You don't need to cleanse, you don't need a detox, and you especially don't need a bunch of unstudied, unproven, untested, unsupported, unscientific herbal trash that will not do anything for you but may interact with medications and have adverse reactions in some health conditions. It will also set you back $2.13 per serving at the preferred customer discount. I'm all set, you guys. Well, I personally am convinced that I need some Isagenix products like right now. You guys, sign me the fuck up. Let's find out how much money we're definitely going to make with Isagenix. First of all, this is the most frustrating income disclosure I've ever seen, and it's also from 2018. They don't present it as a simple table listing the ranks and averages like a typical income disclosure. They just make some statements in an effort to make it look as good as they can, but I'm going to tear away the veil of illusion for you, okay? 80% of Isagenix consultants earned $0. Nothing. Zilch. Of the 20% who earned anything at all, half of them earned less than $337 in an entire year, or 16 cents per hour before expenses. The top 10% of the company earned a median of $985 in a year, or 47 cents per hour if that were a full-time wage. The top 10%. That is jaw-dropping. The top 10% before expenses earned a median of $985 in an entire year, or 47 cents per hour. That is terrible. Before expense. It's so bad. But let's keep going, all right? The top 2% of the company, the top 2% of the company earned a median of $7,446 in a year, or $3.57 per hour. That's $3.57 per hour. Before expenses, the top 2% earned $3.57 per hour. However, don't worry if you are like 1 in 500 people. If you are able to outperform 99.8% of the company and join the 0.2% at the very top of the company, you'd then earn a median of $84,804 per year, or about $40 an hour, which sounds great, but at the same time, I'm not sure how many companies out there have their top 0.2% earning that much. I'm pretty sure most people at 9-to-5 jobs who are in the top 0.2% of their company hierarchy I'm pretty sure they earn like 6 figures or more. But I realize that they totally don't have time freedom and stuff. They just have their stupid health insurance benefits, job security, and retirement plans. Fuck that. I am not about that. Okay? So in conclusion, I realize that most of you have probably run off to start filling out the form to join Isagenix. Don't worry, I understand. As soon as I turn the camera off, I'm signing up too. I mean, it just sounds so fucking enticing that I need this in my life, you guys. Let's go. Wow. That is terrible. More to come soon. I've been Mac. Peace out. Bye!